Going to set foot in Thailand for the first time? Then hold on tight. The country is known as the Land of Smiles, but it also has a few rough patches that, if you know about them beforehand, will make your trip a lot smoother. The moment you land in Thailand, the first thing that hits you is a mix of surprise and enchantment. It doesn't matter if you're in Bangkok, Phuket, or Chiang Mai, the culture shock arrives fast. The airport already gives you a glimpse of what's to come. Signs in Thai full of different symbols, lots of people moving at a fast pace, and of course, that humid heat that seems to welcome you with a sweaty embrace. You will also notice that Thai people are extremely kind. They smile a lot, and this smile isn't just a marketing ploy for tourists. It's part of the culture. It's common for a simple thank you, or a request to be accompanied by a genuine smile, which immediately creates a feeling of hospitality. But don't be fooled. This friendliness can also be confusing, because sometimes those offering help might be trying to sell you something on the side. The climate will be a detail you need to face from the very first minute. Thailand is hot and humid practically all year round, and this means that even if you're not a fan of the heat, you'll need to adapt. Light clothes, a water bottle, and the patience to sweat are all part of the experience. It's like entering a natural open-air sauna, especially in Bangkok, where the heat combines with the city's intense movement. Transportation will also surprise you right upon arrival. If you take a taxi or a tuk-tuk from the airport, get ready for a sense of adventure. Drivers drive fast, weave between cars, and seem to have an internal GPS that ignores basic traffic rules. At first, it's a bit of a heart-stopper, but then you realize it's just the local way of getting around. It's chaotic, but it works. Another expectation is about communication. English is reasonably well spoken in tourist areas, but don't expect everyone to understand you perfectly. In local markets or smaller towns, you'll get by much more with gestures, translation apps, and very basic English. The cool thing is that even with the language barrier, Thai people make an effort to try to understand, and this makes the interaction lighter and even fun. The food will come as a shock in the first few days. Street food stalls are everywhere, and the smell is irresistible. Strong spices, fried foods, exotic fruits. But be prepared. They take chili seriously. When they say something is a little spicy, it usually means very spicy by Western standards. It's an intense experience, but an essential part of arriving in the country. And of course, the cultural difference will be in the small details. People riding a motorbike with 3 or 4 family members on the same vehicle, dogs sleeping peacefully in the middle of the sidewalk without anyone bothering them, monks crossing the street in the middle of traffic, and night markets full of colors and sounds that seem to have no closing time. These first impressions might seem exaggerated, but they are exactly what makes Thailand so remarkable. You feel like you've completely stepped out of your comfort zone and been placed in a vibrant, different world full of energy, where every corner holds an unexpected novelty. One of the first positive points you'll notice in Thailand is the energy of the people. Thai people truly deserve the nickname Land of Smiles. You'll be surprised by how many times you receive a smile for no apparent reason. It could be from the street vendor, the driver who let you cross, or even someone who simply catches your eye. This hospitality makes all the difference, as it gives you the feeling of being in a welcoming place, even if everything is new to you. Another highlight is the food. Eating in Thailand is almost like going on a gastronomic tour on every street corner. Street foods are famous worldwide not only for their flavor, but also for their price. Can you imagine paying the equivalent of about $3 for a fresh pad Thai, made right in front of you in less than 5 minutes? Not to mention the tropical fruits that appear in colorful stalls: sweet mangoes, rambutan, dragon fruit, and, of course, durian, known as the most controversial fruit in the world. Some people love it, some can't stand the smell. This variety adds a special charm and makes the trip feel like a constant discovery. Nature is also a strong point. Thai beaches are postcard perfect, crystal clear waters, white sand, and that unreal paradise-like atmosphere. Destinations like Koh Phi Phi, Krabi, and Phuket are charming not only for their beauty, but also for the experiences they offer, such as diving in coral reefs or boat trips to almost deserted islands. And if you like mountains and green landscapes, the north of the country, in regions like Chiang Mai and Pai, will surprise you with trails, waterfalls, and an atmosphere very different from the hustle and bustle of the beaches. The culture is another great attraction. On every corner, you'll find incredible Buddhist temples, full of golden details, Buddha sculptures in different positions, and a peaceful atmosphere that contrasts with the chaos of the streets. Visiting these temples is more than a tourist trip. It's an opportunity to get a close feel for the spirituality that moves a large part of the population. And it's not uncommon to come across local celebrations, colorful festivals, or processions that turn the street into a true cultural spectacle. A positive point that many people don't expect is the variety of experiences at an affordable price. Thai massages are a classic example. You pay less than you would for a simple dinner in Brazil and leave feeling completely renewed. Not to mention that you can find comfortable accommodations at prices well below what you'd pay in more popular Western destinations. In other words, you have access to experiences that would cost a fortune in other countries, but in Thailand, they fit your budget. And we can't forget about the alternative transportation. Riding a tuk-tuk might seem like a chaotic adventure, but it's fun and gives you a unique view of the city. In addition, public transportation in Bangkok, such as the BTS SkyTrain, is efficient, clean, and cheap, which makes a tourist's life much easier. These positive points help transform the trip into something memorable. It's the kind of destination where every detail adds up. The friendly people, the unforgettable food, the breathtaking landscapes, and the constant feeling of living something completely different from your routine at home. Not everything in Thailand is smiles and paradise, and it's good for you to know that before you board your flight. The first thing that usually catches tourists by surprise are the scams. It's not that everyone will try to deceive you, but there are situations so common that they are practically part of the experience. For example, tuk-tuk drivers offering super cheap rides, but they include mandatory stops at jewelry stores, tailors, or souvenir shops where the pressure to buy is immense. Another classic is the famous "Grand Palace is closed today," said by fake guides who try to take you on alternative tours. These tricks happen all the time in tourist areas, so it's good to keep your radar on. Another negative point is the traffic, especially in Bangkok. Imagine constant honking, motorbikes weaving between cars, crowded buses, and drivers who seem not to respect traffic rules. For those who are not used to it, crossing a street can be almost a test of courage. Public transportation helps a lot, but during rush hour, even the subway and SkyTrain are packed. If you have little patience for crowds and noise, this is a detail that can be quite bothersome. The climate can also be a challenge. The humid heat is intense, and for some tourists, it's suffocating. In the summer, the heat index can easily exceed 40 degrees, 104 degrees. And during the monsoon season, the rains are heavy and unexpected. This means that sometimes a highly anticipated trip to the beach or the temples ends up being a race against sudden storms. It's not something that will totally ruin the trip, but it may require flexibility in your planning. Pollution in some large cities is also something to consider. Bangkok, for example, has very poor air quality levels during certain periods of the year. It's not unbearable for someone who will only be there for a few days, but it is visible. The sky is grayer, and breathing can be uncomfortable for those with respiratory problems. Another detail that can be a negative surprise is the issue of hygiene in some places. Street markets are incredible and part of the cultural experience, but they don't always follow the sanitary standards that a Westerner is used to. Eating at stalls is safe most of the time, but some people end up experiencing stomach discomfort. It's also common to see accumulated trash in more popular areas, which contrasts sharply with the paradisiacal image of the beaches. Speaking of beaches, a point that many people don't mention is the overcrowding. Famous places like Maya Bay, where the movie The Beach was filmed, became so full of tourists that the government had to close them temporarily to try to restore the ecosystem. On some islands, the excess of boats and visitors ends up taking away some of the magic of the place. If you're expecting to find a deserted beach all to yourself, you might be frustrated. Cultural shock can also be difficult for some. Seeing motorbikes transporting entire families without helmets, animals wandering loose on the streets, bathrooms without toilet paper, and customs different from what you're used to can feel strange. It's not necessarily negative, but it requires openness and patience to face the country as it is. In Thailand, how you behave in public can make all the difference between being seen as a respectful tourist or just another clueless foreigner. The first gesture you'll notice is the famous Y, the traditional greeting. It works like this. You put your hands together as if to pray and make a small bow with your head. This gesture is used to say hello, thank you, or even as a sign of respect. You don't need to overdo it. Just a discreet bow is enough. And in general, tourists are not obligated to return the way, but trying to do so shows that you are willing to adapt. Another essential point is how you dress, especially at temples. Shoulders and knees must be covered, and there's no point in arguing. If you show up in short shorts or a tank top, you might be turned away. Some attractions even offer wraps for rent, but it's best to be prepared. This shows respect and avoids embarrassment. At temples, it's also important to take off your shoes before entering sacred areas. Seeing piles of sandals at the entrance is common, and no one will find it strange for you to walk barefoot inside. Speaking of temples, remember that they are not just tourist sites, but places of worship. Avoid talking loudly, don't take invasive photos, and never climb on statues or religious artifacts for that perfect selfie. It might seem obvious, but every year, tourists make this mistake and end up being viewed negatively. Another important cultural detail involves your feet and head. As I mentioned before, the head is considered the most sacred part of the body, and the feet are the most impure. So, never touch anyone's head, not even a child's, and avoid pointing your feet at people or religious images. Sitting with your legs stretched out towards a Buddha statue, for example, is considered rude. When interacting with monks, there are specific rules. Women should never touch a monk or hand something directly to him. If a woman wants to offer something, she should place the object on a cloth or container so the monk can pick it up without physical contact. Men can interact more naturally, but always with respect. In restaurants and markets, etiquette also has its peculiarities. In Thailand, using a fork and spoon is the most common way to eat. The fork is only used to push food onto the spoon. Using just the fork to eat might seem strange to them. Chopsticks are mainly used for dishes of Chinese origin, and eating with your hands can happen in some places, but always wash them well beforehand. Regarding public behavior, exaggerated displays of affection, such as kissing and hugging, are not common among Thais. It's not forbidden, but it draws attention. On the other hand, raising your voice, arguing, or showing anger in public is extremely frowned upon. Losing your temper in front of a Thai person can quickly close doors, as calmness and a smile are central to the culture. A final curious detail. Never point your finger directly at someone, as it is considered rude. If you need to call someone, use your whole hand facing downwards, as if you were beckoning. This small gesture makes a difference and shows that you are mindful of local customs. The first essential safety tip in Thailand is, be careful with your belongings in crowded areas. Night markets, tourist streets like Khao San Road in Bangkok, and crowded beaches are places where petty theft can occur. It's not something that will ruin your trip if you take simple precautions, like using a money belt, keeping your backpack in front of you in crowded places, and not leaving your phone unattended on a table. Another point is transportation. If you're going to use a taxi, always prefer the ones that use a meter. Some drivers will try to negotiate a fixed price, and it usually isn't worth it. A safe alternative is to use apps like Grab, which works like Uber there. In the case of tuk-tuks, the experience is fun, But agree on the price before getting in, and keep in mind that they are usually more expensive than taxis. When it comes to motorbikes, a special warning is necessary. Many tourists rent scooters because they are cheap and practical, but accidents involving foreigners are very common. The streets are busy, the driving is aggressive, and on some islands the roads are narrow and full of curves. If you don't have experience, avoid them. If you decide to rent one, always wear a helmet, even if you see locals without one. In addition to protecting you, it helps you avoid a police fine. Also, be careful with alcoholic beverages. Thai nightlife is lively and famous, but in tourist bars, it's not uncommon to encounter scams involving inflated bills or even spiked drinks. The tip is to drink in well-recommended places and never lose sight of your glass. It's also common for the police to show up in some areas to check documents or perform breathalyzer tests, so always carry a copy of your passport and don't overdo it. Regarding health, the #1 rule is only drink bottled water. Tap water is not safe, and even ice in dubious places can be risky. Always carry hand sanitizer because you will eat a lot from street stalls, and a quick cleaning helps to prevent stomach problems. It's also a good idea to have travel insurance, as simple accidents like sprains or cuts can happen, and private hospitals, while excellent, are expensive. Another important precaution is related to nature. On the beaches, pay attention to safety flags and sea currents, which can be treacherous. Animals also deserve respect. Don't get too close to elephants at questionable attractions or to monkeys, who can steal your belongings or even bite if they feel threatened. In terms of scams, in addition to those already mentioned with tuk-tuks and supposedly closed temples, there are other details. Vendors offering exclusive tours that turn out to be traps, drivers who stop at shops to earn a commission, and even jet ski rentals at tourist beaches where they later try to charge for non-existent damage. To avoid this, research providers use well-rated companies and never accept the first offer on the street. One point many people forget: respect for the culture is also a form of safety. Showing disrespect for religious symbols or the royal family can lead to serious legal problems. Thailand is a friendly country, but it has strict laws when it comes to tradition and respect. Acting with awareness is the best way to stay out of trouble. Thailand is not just a beautiful destination. It's a delightful cultural shock that blends chaos, peace, flavors, and cinematic landscapes. You'll get lost in night markets, be enchanted by golden temples, and you'll probably find yourself smiling without even realizing it, because the country's energy is contagious. Of course, it has its challenges. Crazy traffic, strong heat, a few scams here and there, but nothing you can't handle by being prepared. The result is always positive. Beaches that look like paintings, addictive foods, and stories you'll tell forever. So, if the idea is to have an adventure that escapes the routine and also collect unique memories, Thailand is the right place. Pack your bags, go with an open mind, and enjoy the land of smiles for what it truly is.